Prediction season is officially here. These are my game-by-game predictions for the Kentucky Wildcats in the 2024 college football season. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. We're brought to you by our friends over at SeatGeek. Guys, go to SeatGeek.com and use promo code SECU for $20 off your first purchase. Again, guys, that's our friends over at SeatGeek. Promo code SECU to get $20 off today. A pivotal year awaits the Kentucky Wildcats and Mark Stoops. What's the trajectory of his tenure there in Lexington? These are my game-by-game predictions for Big Blue Nation in the upcoming 2024 season, guys, as we pull up the schedule and each of my selections. And we will start in week one, a really intriguing week one matchup. The Southern Miss Golden Eagles, this a once proud program, still a proud program, I would say. The game at Kroger Field, Saturday night, 7:45 Eastern kick on SEC Network. This one could get a little squirrely. I think Kentucky's going to win this football game. I don't want to make more of this game than we should. That being said, we've seen Southern Miss pull upsets before. I'm just saying, very proud program. You better make sure you come out and playing your best football out of the gate. But I do think Kentucky will start 1-0. Then comes that week 2 matchup against South Carolina. And guys, very rarely do you find a game where you can say realistically it is the most important game of the season for both sides. But I think that's the case when Kentucky and South Carolina do battle in Lexington. You think about from, first off, the South Carolina perspective, their chances of getting to a bowl game when you look at the schedule. We'll talk more about that when we talk South Carolina. But from the Kentucky side, guys, you've lost 2 straight to Shane Beamer, right? And talking to Kentucky folks at SEC Media Days, they made it very clear. If you lose a 3rd straight to Shane Beamer, all hell is going to break loose in the Kentucky fan base. Like, there are very few people that Kentucky fans hate more than Shane Beamer. Just call it for what it is, right? You look at the games the last couple years, they've been hard-fought matchups, but South Carolina getting the better of Kentucky. If Kentucky's going to have a successful year, if Kentucky's going to have a year that reaffirms, hey, this program is on the proper trajectory, they're on the up and up, you have to win this game against the Gamecocks. But bottom line, you have to win this game against South Carolina. The good news for Kentucky, number 1, it's a home game, but number 2, I'm higher on Kentucky than most folks. And I was almost surprised how high I was on Kentucky when I went through the schedule game by game. I do think the Wildcats, with the improvements they've made to their roster, I love the front 7. I love the defense as a whole. And then offensively, right? Bringing in Brock Vandagriff. And this is going to be a battle between 2 brand new starting quarterbacks. Lenoris Sellers on the South Carolina side, Brock Vandagriff on the Kentucky side. If you're Kentucky, you got a really veteran defense with some transfer portal pieces you added to beef up that defense, and you're taking on a young quarterback with an offensive line that's probably still going to be a work in progress. This is going to be a great opportunity for Kentucky to cause some havoc defensively. And then I think offensively, again, listen, it's a South Carolina defense that revamped, but weren't very good a season ago. And we'll see how the new pieces factor in. But I think Kentucky, the roster is much better than people are giving it credit for. I do think the Wildcats will score a huge win in this ball game, finally snap the streak against Shane Beamer, and improve to 2-0. And again, guys, get a much-needed, huge win early in the season. Then week 3, you host the Georgia Bulldogs. Night game at Kroger Field. Could madness strike? Could craziness happen? Maybe, but I don't see it. I just don't think Kentucky's got enough right now. Georgia's a different beast. I do think Georgia will get the win. I'm high on Georgia, of course. Don't be surprised, though, 4th quarter game here. Do not be surprised if it's 4th quarter game. Like I said, guys, I'm a little bit higher on Kentucky. than most folks out there. I think Kentucky falls to Georgia, but I think this could be, dare I say, a one-score game in the fourth quarter. But Kentucky drops their first game, falls to 2-1. The following week, you then have Ohio, who comes to town. And you look at the schedule, by the way, guys. You look at the first couple games. Kroger Field, Kroger Field, Kroger Field, Kroger Field. You got 4 straight home games to kick off this season. So you take care of your business against Ohio at Kroger Field. Here comes the first road game, first road matchup of the 2024 season, and it comes at Vaught Hemingway at Ole Miss. Guys, I'm a believer in Ole Miss. I think this game, you're going to need offense to keep up with Ole Miss. And I think Ole Miss as well defensively. They can match Kentucky blow for blow with what Ole Miss added via the portal. So I think you drop that game as well. I think you fall to 3-2 on the season. And this is where you got to kick things into gear. You got the game against Vanderbilt. You're going to win that football game. I don't think Vandy's going to be very good at all. At Florida, and by the way, you get the bye week before Vandy. So at least after that first 4-game stretch, you get a week to kind of recoup, rest up, heal, whatever it might be. You get 2 weeks to get ready going into the month of October. You're going to beat Vandy at Florida. Huge year for Billy Napier, right? And I think the Gators are going to be better. I really do. But for whatever reason, guys, Kentucky has had Florida's number. And do you know that no Florida coach has ever started 0-3 in their careers against Kentucky? Billy Napier 0-2 right now. I think Kentucky makes it 0-3, guys. I mean, until I see something from Florida that shows me that, you know, and it's crazy to think how this series has been flipped. But Kentucky's got their number, man. And until I see something different, I'm giving the Wildcats the benefit of the doubt. I know the game's in the swamp. It's going to be a hostile environment, potentially going to be a night game. But I think Kentucky, man, I think Mark Stoops and company have cracked the code against Billy Napier, and I think they get the win in the swamp against Florida. The Auburn Tigers the following week come to Kroger Field. I got Kentucky winning this game as well. Listen, night game at Kroger Field. Auburn going to be very inconsistent. I think really, too, guys, this is the point in the season, you're going to start to see that offense start to click. Brock Vandagriff get comfortable, right? The run game. I think Kentucky's going to get back to running the football. Barryon Brown, Dane Key on the outside, still 2 of the best in college football when they're playing consistently. And I think with Brock Vandagriff under center, I think that's going to help tremendously. So I think you beat Auburn as well. I think you really start to catch some momentum here midseason. Then you've got the game against Tennessee in Knoxville. And the same way you've got Florida's number, Tennessee's got your number times 1,000, right? This is just the game, no matter how good Kentucky is. They just cannot find a way to beat the Volunteers. With that said, and I think Tennessee's going to be really good this year, guys. I'm a believer in Nico, that front 7 defensively, what they're going to be offensively, obviously under Heupel. So I do think Tennessee will get the win. I think they beat the Wildcats. Again, guys, until we see otherwise, this is just a game Kentucky really struggles in, really has issues with. I think that'll be the case again this year. I think Tennessee will get the dub to hand Kentucky their 3rd loss of the season. The following week, guys, you have a layup, if you will. And by the way, excuse me, you got a bye week before Murray State. So you got a bye week, 2 weeks to get ready for Murray State. Not going to matter. You're going to roll in that one at Kroger Field. Then you go to Texas. Guys, what a road trip. What a road trip. At Texas. If this game were at Kroger Field, I would say maybe you can give Texas some headaches. I don't see that being the case. I think Texas is going to roll in this one on their home field. I just think they're going to be too much. Going to be a really, really tough game for Kentucky to really do much of anything. I'm a believer in the Longhorns, and I think they will get the dub. And then finally, guys, you got the rivalry game showdown against Louisville. And again, this game at home. This is one of the thrillers of last season, you might recall, up there at Louisville. At home at Kroger Field. I think Louisville's going to be solid. I think this is going to be like one of the most underrated rivalry matchups of rivalry weekend. But I think Kentucky gets it done, guys. Again, potentially this is another night game at Kroger. A lot of night games at Kroger Field this year. I think Kentucky gets the better of Louisville. And I think it caps off, guys. Like I mentioned, I think I'm higher on Kentucky than most. And when I didn't expect to be this high on Kentucky, guys. But when I sat down, went through the schedule, I was like, man, the Wildcats have a shot at a really successful season. And I think they'll do that. 8-4 overall. 4-4 in conference play with some really big wins. South Carolina early, Florida in the swamp, Auburn at home, Louisville in the rivalry game. I think Kentucky, again, guys, listen, I love what they added in the portal. Jamar Dumas Johnson at the linebacker position, I think, is going to be a star. I think Kentucky defensively, probably one of the most underrated defensive units in this conference. And then offensively, I love the way they've kept things subdued in regards to preseason hype with Brock Vandagriff. And talking to Kentucky folks, that is intentional, guys. Hey, listen, they understand Devin Leary and Will Levis in his final year. They underachieved. They're like, you know what? We're not going to build up this hype. We're going to bring back this lunch pail mentality, keep things quiet. We'll let our play on the field do the talking. I think Kentucky's got a much, much better roster than people realize. I think they're going to be a much better team than people realize. And I got the Kentucky Wildcats, again, overall 8-4, finishing 4-4 in SEC play. So, guys, when you look at Kentucky's 2024 schedule, do you agree with me? Do you disagree? What's your prediction for the Wildcats in the 2024 college football season? Guys, that's going to do it for me. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. Until next time, guys, I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we'll catch you on the other side.